Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome, everybody, to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV. Good morning to our friends in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. It is Tuesday, the 21st of July, 2026. I'm back. Thanks to our great friend Sam Getzinger for filling in for me yesterday. I was required to do my civic duty yesterday without getting into any more specifics than that. That was my first time ever being called for jury duty. And I had been summoned before in the fall, and that was not a ideal time. And I got my mail a few weeks ago and said, okay, here we go. July 20th, which is a Monday, you got to call the night before. And so I called Sunday night, and they said, hey, you're going to be needed. So I was over it because I live in Moorhead, went over to the Clay County Courthouse and got through the whole procedure. I'd never done it before, and I would strongly encourage, if you get it, do it. It was really a neat experience. It's another part of the complete American experience you can do between voting and then serving on a jury, which I didn't fully do. We went through the whole deal, and then I wasn't selected. I got as close as you can without. It was a full day, and it was eye-opening. I'll just say that. And I can't say anything more than that, but it was a humdinger of a day yesterday. But appreciate Sam filling in for me. That's where I was at yesterday. But back in the big chair and ready to roll here on a Tuesday, and seems like we had some happenings going on yesterday. Plenty for us to chat about. It is we're in the midst of talking season. We were in it last week in Las Vegas. The SEC has taken center stage with its media days that got going yesterday in Tampa. The commissioner, some would say who runs college football, Greg Sankey, had some eye-opening comments yesterday. We're going to play a couple of them and react to that because I think it's noteworthy of what he had to say. And it's been noteworthy, I think, each of the last 5 years when he's had his media address at SEC Media Days. I think we've played something out of it because it has certainly raised eyebrows, and yesterday was notwithstanding. So we will get to that. I got plenty of reaction yesterday to our conversation with Timmy Chang that we played. If you missed that, it's available now on our podcast, and we posted it yesterday. I believe our interview in full with the Hawaii head football coach, which was just fantastic. And I shared the story, the anecdote on Friday's program of him chastising our entire Fargo contingent that was there to make sure that we come to the game in Honolulu in November. And we're going to have another one of our interviews coming up later on in our program today. This one with New Mexico's Jason Eck, which was fantastic. The former South Dakota State offensive coordinator had no shortage of things to talk about North Dakota State. So if you're inclined for that, and I know we've got some great feedback from our other coaches, you'll want to hear that. We have the rest of them coming up over the rest of the week. Troy Calhoun from Air Force, which is really interesting. Rob Harley from Northern Illinois. Ken Niumatalolo from San Jose State. I'm going to get that down by the time we get to November. Who am I forgetting here? Jay Sawvell from Wyoming. And I believe we have one more after that because we had Mullen and Walden join Polasek and me on our show on Thursday. Who am I forgetting that's out there? There's one more that we have to get to. I'm sure I'll think of it here in a second, that we'll play over the next little bit. And then after that, frankly, it gets dated. After that, camp is going. The Bison start camp a week from tomorrow. Then we're talking training camp stories and fall camp and all that kind of good stuff. And we want to be focusing on that. So that's to look forward to here over the next little bit. But also today, Conference USA has its media days. Normally that's something we would not pay attention to, but North Dakota State's opener is with the team that's likely going to be picked to win it, or they have a unique way of going about actually their preseason poll, which we'll talk about later on, Jacksonville State. And I'm interested to hear what they have to say, and we'll probably have that on our show coming up tomorrow. So here we go. We're a week away. After that, high school ball, I believe they start practice August 6th. It is here, folks. I'm the last to tell you now that summer is officially over. I was the first to tell you back on July 6th. Now I'm here to tell you it's donezo because the Vikes are back to work here soon. We got NFL teams reporting to camp. Before you know it, it is on, as we like to say. Now, that notwithstanding, the baseball season is still going, although the Twins may be fading. We are in that same boat that we were in last year. We're describing this baseball team. Now, let's rewind to Friday real quick. Corey Provis joined us, and I asked him specifically about the first 7 games out of the chute to start the second half, because we know what happened last year. They fell flat on their face. They lost a series to the Rockies, who were god-awful, and we know what happened. That the Twins can't mess around here. 4-5, 5-4 for these 9 games to start the second half of the season. Well, they lost 2 of 3 to Chicago. That's after they had a great performance in Bailey Ober on Friday night at Wrigley Field. They got their brains beat in. If you saw the running of the bases on Saturday at Wrigley, that was deplorable. Then Sunday, you had even more hijinks with Luke Keyshaw. I know he's not a center fielder. I don't know if Sam showed it on the show yesterday. Totally misplayed a ball. You had just hijinks going on the field. And along the way, you're allowing runs up the wazoo. So now you go to Cleveland, and you just beat the Guardians 2-3 before the break in that homestand. It's a 4-game set. At worst, you got to split. And they had their guy going last night. Joe Ryan was throwing. So everything's lining up for Minnesota. Like, this is what they want to have happen. And instead, Cleveland teed off on Joe Ryan. Brian Rocchio starts things in the bottom of the first. And this was 2 outs. Hammers one to right. Guardians are up 2-0. Later in the again with 2 outs, Rhys Hoskins. Remember, he was good like 20 years ago? He's still hitting home runs. It's 3-0 Cleveland after 1. The hit parade continued for the home team in the bottom of the second. Petey Halpin, who? He's hitting 194. You can see it clearly on the screen, right? This is not a threat until he uncorks one off of Ryan. 411-foot shot to right center. Guardians go back in front on that 3-run home run. It's 5-2. Come on. They're not done. More hitting from the Guardians here. Travis Pastrana. Who are these guys? Not Travis Pastrana, the great race car driver. This guy hits a home run. It's 6-2. Hoskins is back up again. It's like batting practice. It's like what we saw at the home run derby last week. This is crushed. 7-2. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home runs. That kid's got one of the many souvenirs that were deposited at Progressive Field last night. The Guardians aren't done. Halpin's up again. Again, he was hitting 194 coming in, and he smacks another one. This to center. Nearly 400-foot shot. 8-2 Cleveland. Halpin, by the way, left the game hitting .222. He raised his batting average nearly 30 points in the game. Ryan gives up 6 home runs, the most homers allowed by a Twins pitcher ever. That's not great. Bullpen still gave up shots. It's 10-3 when this ball is crushed off the bat of Patrick Bailey. 11-3 Guardians, their 7th homer of the game. Whatever frustration they had against Minnesota prior to the All-Star break, they took it out last night. Guardians win it 13-4. Twins have now lost 3 out of 4 out of the All-Star break. Ryan allows 10 hits, 8 runs, 6 homers. Not great. Worst start of his career. And over the last 3 games now, the Twins have allowed 29 runs, and they've only scored 7. Again, I'm not great math mind, but all of those numbers don't sound anything conducive to winning. Now, when we left you on Friday, at least when I was last here, Twins were hovering right there in that wild card and AL Central spot. So you wake up today. The Red Sox, by the way, haven't lost. Boston's won 14 in a row. Minnesota now sits 5 back in the Central, 3 games under 500. And we're really at an inflection point right now. It's either they're going to put it together here and get their starting pitching in order, or they're going to go the way of 2025. And for those wondering, after 101 games, the Minnesota Twins last year had a mark of 49-52. After 101 games in 2026, the Minnesota Twins, you can clearly see, have a mark of 49-52. They have the exact same record. And now decisions are going to come, right? They're 1-3 out of the break. If this goes and they're 3-6, 2-7, then Ryan Jeffers is going to get traded. Josh Bell is going to get dealt. Anybody else who's a free agent is donezo. Joe Ryan may get moved. I think the only guy that's not going to be traded is Byron Buxton, because then ownership, Tom Pohlad has said we want to be contenders, we want to be in it. I'm sure he's been thrilled with what's happened over the first 4 months of the season, and they should be. But then when is it time for them to bring up Walker Jenkins, to bring up Kalen Culpepper, to give these guys a legit look? Maybe it's August 15th. I don't know. But at some point you're going to have to make a call if this goes the opposite way. And not to the extent of trading 10 guys like they did last year, but Jeffers you could get a nice return on. I'm not sure what level prospect or current player, but there are teams that need – the Yankees need catching like nobody's business. That seems like a matchup that would seem to happen. We'll find out in the coming days. Twins are back tonight with Cleveland. And after your ace just got ripped, you need a good performance. Derek Shelton said it after the game. It's Kendry Rojas. It's the opener tonight. Parker Messick, who's one of Cleveland's best, is going in Game 2 of this 4-game set tonight in downtown Cleveland. One last thing before we get rolling. If you did not stay up late last night, the Minnesota Lynx gave you every reason to, as they have the best record in the league. Still don't have the best player in the league playing on their team, as Defisa Collier has missed the entire season. But as we near the All-Star break, the Lynx are humming. Last night they played the Seattle Storm, who are one of the worst teams, but it gives us the matchup of 2 great rookies in Flau'jae Johnson and Olivia Miles. And the Lynx didn't mess around. Kayla McBride was great, as she has been all year. She's the 9th leading scorer in the WNBA. Miles is number 8 in the league. They go up by 10. Late in this game, Flau'jae Johnson, the great star from LSU, drops down to 3, gets it down to a 2-point game. Now Seattle's up 1. Miles dishes it. McBride in the corner. Lynx go up by 2. McBride at 33 last night. How about this? The bank from Miles drives, gives Minnesota a 2-point lead. Stormer down 4. Johnson gets open. Cans a 3 with 2.5 minutes to go. Now it's a 1-point game. Under 2 minutes to go. Minnesota's up 1. How about the step back? I just love her tenacity. Miles Drake, she had 32. Lynx are up 3. Same score here with 3 seconds to go. Johnson for the tie. Got a great look, but can't connect at the horn. Minnesota wins it 105-102. They maintain their best record in the WNBA at 21-6, and their 2 top horses were amazing last night. McBride at 33 points in 32 minutes. 6 of 10 from 3, made all of her free throws, made 9 of 9 at the line. Olivia Miles goes 13 of 24 from the field for 32 points, adds 8 rebounds and 8 assists. Get rid of talk of the top rookie. She might be the MVP of the league the way she's played through the first 27 games of the season. They play the Storm again tomorrow night. It's one of those scheduling quirks that happens in the WNBA. They're back at Seattle for a game tomorrow afternoon, and then the All-Star break, which is in Chicago, and then they start the second half of the year with one of the expansion teams in Toronto on deck. Fun game last night. I drifted in and out, but woke up at the end to see the last 2 minutes, and that was worth everything there to see how that game finished out. Miles is just fabulous to watch. We have a packed show coming up for you here today. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us as always in studio at 9:35. His appearances are brought to us, of course, by Sunset Lanes out of Moorhead, Minnesota. Lots to recap, of course, from what we experienced in Las Vegas. And now practices are here. What we're going to be watching for and what to look forward to on the eve of a new college football season. That's coming up at 9:35. David Richman has been scheduled to join us. Now, Sam made the schedule here. I did not approve this. Apparently, there's some news to talk about with Bison basketball. I'm more interested to talk about what happened with the Richman family last week. So we'll do that coming up at 10 o'clock. As I mentioned earlier, at 10:35, our conversation with New Mexico head football coach Jason Eck, the former South Dakota State offensive coordinator. We reminisce about the great Dakota marker games that were played from 16 to 23. Some weren't great for the Bison. Some were great for the Jackrabbits. His memories of that. Obviously coaching his son both at Idaho and now at New Mexico, where his son Jackson has become, right now, he's the preseason player of the year defensively in the league. And then winning 9 games for the Lobos last year, facing the Gophers in the Rape Bowl. We get to all of that coming up. You'll look forward to that conversation at 10:35 we had out in Las Vegas. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy start to our show on this Tuesday. We'll take our first break. We come back. The SEC has had its way again. Does that mean they are talking about breaking away from the NCAA? You'll hear from their commissioner when Hot Mike returns on a Tuesday morning. We're back right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike off and rolling here on this Tuesday morning. Dave Richman will join us about 40 minutes time to chat some Bison hoops and some big news in his family. Excited about our conversation coming up later on in our show. All right, this is a particular topic we hit a little bit last week, and we hit the fringes on it simply because any sort of congressional act seems folly at this point in terms of college sports or anything for that matter. But the Protect College Sports Act, which has been gestating in Congress for the better part of 2 months and has undergone some significant changes when the bill was first introduced, was, again, the biggest topic of conversation yesterday at SEC Media Days when Greg Sankey was addressing the media. Now, it is no surprise to anybody. The SEC and the Big Ten have not supported this, namely over the pooling of media rights. That means they have to share the money with the other leagues, namely like the Big 12 and the ACC, and to a lesser extent to the Mountain West Conference and the American Conference USA, and they don't want any part of sharing anything. That money they want for themselves to divvy up to their said schools for record amounts that go near $70 to $80 million per school per year. The other part of this that's really interesting is a realignment angle to it, where limits the amount of schools moving, which was changed to now say that group of 6 schools can move up. Initially, that was part of the bill that got trounced early on. But the new part that was announced yesterday that's part of this is that if you're a Power 4 school moving to another league, you have to play as an independent for 5 years before moving to a new league. Now, all of this has come to a head, and yesterday was a perfect time for the media to ask the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, who some say runs college football, and one Greg Sankey, on what his thoughts are in regards to the bill, and frankly, if there's a possibility, because this is something we've heard for years, that the SEC and to the Big Ten would potentially break away from the NCAA.
So you phrase the question of how real. So I'll take that as like real or not real. So they're real. People have talked about that. They've opined about the frustrations that bring them to the point of saying we should look at something significantly different. I do not believe that is a leverage point. I think that's just honest communication. I would prefer that stay in a meeting room or on a video conference and not be part of the D1 ticker the next morning, but I don't control all of that. Eddie, what I think is important is those comments represent a high level of frustration with the circumstance in which we find ourselves. We have regulated ourselves more aggressively than other colleagues by choice across our league. We've had different academic eligibility restrictions in the past. So we've had different transfer restrictions in the past. So some of what you hear comes out of a culture that we can regulate ourselves. But the frustration that exists is when you go to a meeting 8 years ago and we want to change the volunteer coach rule in a Division I setting, and the Division I membership can't see their way through change, and so that creates risk. I think some of the transition into this 5-year eligibility model, that it happened when it did and the way it did, that magnifies frustration. We went through a college football playoff discussion for years and introduced a 12-team playoff where it just sat because colleagues couldn't move. And they had reasons, but those reasons really didn't resonate. And so understand that beneath the observation is frustration. But I also know the pride with which I spoke of 13 national championships, and there is meaning and value, and I do think a national expectation that we participate in a national organization. But that national organization must function in a healthy manner. Otherwise, that simmering will continue.
Well, the first part to address is that talking about the fact, again, that there is at least some chatter, and I think Kirby Smart also addressed it today because he's going to speak to the media, the Georgia head football coach, that, yeah, we've talked about the potential of going and doing our own thing, which, I mean, how many times have we addressed this topic over the last few years, and it just has been shot down because they didn't want to mess up with the basketball tournament. This is what he said today, Smart. Until the SEC gets governance and we have someone that actually has the power to make decisions, or we can make decisions within our own community, we're not going to have much control. That was talking about the SEC becoming independent from the NCAA. I mean, we've bandied about this for a while. It seems to me like it's something where it seemed crazy at the thought of it maybe 10 years ago, because no one wanted to mess with the Golden Goose, which is the NCAA basketball tournament. But then the thought came about, well, what's to stop if they were to go do it, and the SEC got the Big Ten to go with them, that they go create their own tournament? Nothing, right? They could go do their own thing, play it in March or whenever they want to play it, and the NCAA March Madness ceases to be what we have enjoyed for the last 50 years or so, right? Where it's become the biggest sporting event likely in America next to the Super Bowl. Those are the two biggest things that happen on a yearly basis here. They could go and press the nuclear button here. And there's a lot of saber rattling that happens, especially now that politicians are involved in this. We've been down this road before. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but it wouldn't surprise me. Not anymore, considering what we've experienced over the last 4 or 5 years with college athletics. And I think hearing Sankey complain on they can't move off 12 for the CFP, right? They want it. He wants 16. The Big Ten wants 24, so we're already at loggerheads there. The 5-for-5 thing that they finally got through, right? Rev share is a big deal. I know this for some, I want to watch the games, Dom. I don't care about this other stuff. But I'm telling you, that's how it's going to affect you watching the games, what's out there in terms of talent on the field. All of these decisions that are lurking high above the sport, that's what's determining what's going to happen out there. And if those schools aren't available for scheduling, then I can tell you this, for those in the group of 6, that is a major financial hit. And I can't imagine that for some in the Power 4, they want to, hey, we're good scheduling just especially in the SEC and the Big Ten, just scheduling ourselves. Right? I don't think, let's just pick out a couple schools here, like Missouri and Kentucky would want to play Ohio State, the likes of Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State, and that's it. Or Indiana, right? Without having, say, a Big 12 team like Kansas or Baylor or somebody like that to play. And let alone not play a MAC school or a Conference USA school or an American school or a Mountain West school. There's just so many pitfalls on this that I'm not sure how much they've thought this through. Maybe it's more well-developed, as Sankey has said there, but it seems to me that there's a lot more pitfalls on this than there are them coming out on top. It's fascinating to hear it said out loud because it's been talked about behind closed doors, and you heard Sankey say it like he prefer it not to be out there. It is. If you look at any headline on any college sporting website, that is the main story that was happening yesterday and main story still this morning. And every coach is going to be asked about it now for the next 3 days as long as this goes. They have 16 teams in the league. The next 12 coaches are all going to be asked about it here coming on through. Kirby Smart was just the first. All right, let's break. We come back. We can ask our next guest about that. I know he follows all of this and much more. Mike McFeely will join us on the other side of the break when Hot Mike returns on a Tuesday morning. We're back after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. Mike's appearance on Hot Mike is brought to you by Sunset Lanes of Moorhead.
All right, here he is, Las Vegas' number one fan, our guy Mike McFeely, back from the winds of Nevada. It was warm out there. We were barely outside, though, right?
Correct.
How much were you outside?
Well, I just want to point out that being the man of the people that I am, I can both thoroughly enjoy myself at Sunset Lanes in Moorhead with the cold grain belt premium and a few lines of bowling, or I can hang out in Vegas with the swingers and the sharps. And so I can kind of fit in anywhere.
Yes. You're a Renaissance man.
I'm like I'm either a Renaissance man or a chameleon.
Yeah, one or the other.
I'm one of those two things. I don't know.
So when I want to start with the topic we were just talking about. I don't know if you rolled your eyes when you saw the headlines coming or heard Sankey say what he said yesterday on the. What do you make of it?
Just a bit about they're just going to break off and do their own thing. It's
beyond whispers, is what he said. Now.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll echo Jamie Pollard. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
That's the Iowa State AD.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, what so Alabama and the SEC is going to.
With whom? Like who?
Play with
doing
itself,
their own, right? Just going to go on its own. You know.
I mean, okay. All right. I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt that these guys are egomaniacal enough and narcissistic enough that they would do it.
Yeah.
But, okay. I mean, the thing I keep hearing from everybody, i.e., people in the Mountain West, is like there are benefits to being part of the NCAA. Not the least of which is who's paying all the legal bills.
I was going to say the antitrust exemption is being one of them, right?
Right,
yeah.
but who's paying all the legal bills when Jimmy Shimtree sues for a 6th year of eligibility, or there are now several dozen, I think, athletes who are suing to get a
basketball
of
players,
2026 athletes who want that extra year under the what we call the 5 for 5, which is a misnomer, but be that as it may, I mean, there's benefits to having a larger umbrella over you, providing cover for you. So if the SEC thinks that it can play basketball, for example, and they're just going to play each other.
Right.
How many teams in the SEC now?
16.
So you're just going to play a 34-game schedule and just amongst yourselves. Yeah. The other interesting thing I read yesterday was somebody has to lose the games.
Correct.
And so if you are in the SEC and you're one of these teams that's used to winning 8-9 games a year, well, part of that is because you're playing, whatever, Jacksonville State. No offense to or you're playing the games, and you're playing an FCS game every year.
Right, they're playing a MAC team. They're going to play a Conference USA opponent. Right, they're going to have those games. Right. They're not playing 12 Power Fours.
So if they just play against each other,
somebody's going to lose.
Somebody's going to lose the games, and you're going to have head coaches who are saying, okay, I'm going to win 9 games this year and get a contract extension. Well, suddenly you're going to have teams that are 3-9 instead of 9-3 or 6-6 instead of 9-3 because you're not playing the alleged cupcakes anymore. So again, I put nothing past college athletics. So sure, okay, It'll probably happen because Greg Sankey wants it to happen.
Right.
And ESPN is probably going, sure, go for it. We'll just have, but I mean, okay.
To that point, this email is right what you're saying. Big Ten hockey was a myth for decades. The WCHA had too much history. The Big Ten schools too much ego to be lumped in one conference. It would damage college hockey. Then it was a rumor. Then it happened. When the dollars can be increased and concentrated into a smaller, more powerful group, anything is possible.
Yeah. So like
that's
I said,
your point.
So go for it. I don't know. I mean, okay.
Well, and they just got the basketball tournament increase because they wanted it. Then they're going to go and leave? Like, it doesn't make any sense. They wanted to go to 76 so they would get more of their teams in at large consideration. Now you're going to go into your own thing? What?
Well, we've known this for a while, but they're essentially, if they do this, and again, I don't doubt that they're going to, because it's just that's where we are. They're essentially just going to be a professional league,
right?
I mean,
they're pretty darn close as it is.
You can already argue that college sports is basically professional sports right now, but I mean, they're going to be a professional league, so they're going to be in between the NFL and the NBA, and actual what we would consider college sports.
Right.
So, okay, I mean, there's a lot of brand power there.
Correct.
There's a lot of money power there. But is that what the public wants?
I don't think so.
I mean, if I'm going to watch professional football, I'm going to watch the NFL.
Right.
If I'm going to watch college football, I'm going to watch whatever passes for college football at that moment.
Yes.
Why would I want to watch Mississippi State and Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I'm like, what are you playing for? I mean,
correct.
Like, what's the point?
What is the attack? Right. What's it going towards?
You television buggers have ruined everything, and I've told you this to your face 100 times. But basically, what you would be doing if you're the SEC is you are just admitting that you are nothing more than television programming. You are, and you can still say, look, North Dakota State is moving to the FBS, but they're still graduating their athletes. I think what Matt Larson said the other day at this Gate City Bank press conference that I think their overall GPA athletic department wide is like 3.12 or something like that. I mean, so they're still a college. They're still a university, right? If the SEC does what they say they're going to, then they're just a professional sports league
outfit,
for television purposes only. That's the only reason you'd be doing it is to be television, to get more money for TV. It's like, okay, like what's the point?
Good luck. And they don't want to share. That's part of the whole, Protect College Sports Act. They don't want to share their media rights with everybody else. They in the Big Ten, that's the biggest holdout on that. I just, again, I don't. When we talked about other coaches with this about them in Vegas,
I don't know the all the inside out details, but I sort of understand why the Big Ten and the SEC are going, well, wait a second.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I don't like. Why do they want to share their money with North Dakota State?
They don't.
Why would North Dakota State want to share its money with Austin P?
Yeah,
I mean, they don't want to.
No.
So I don't blame them for being like the pooling thing. That's a Cody Campbell, Texas Tech thing, and anything that guy does, just roll your eyes and look the other way. There's no. He's not in it for the big picture. He's in it for Texas Tech. Period.
Yes.
Like just like not the Big 12, Texas Tech.
Yeah, he's not even in for the Big 12.
So
right.
I get that they don't want to pool the money, but to break away again.
Yeah,
go for it.
Good luck to you.
The other part of this, which again I find a little odd, is when we're talking about the SEC and the Big Ten breaking away and doing their own thing.
We talked about this for so long.
Right, but I have read, and it makes sense, it's John Wilner, who I don't agree with everything he writes because he's very Pac-12 centric and whatever, but that's okay. He has offered, well, it's not going to be a clean break because the SEC and the Big Ten don't want Northwestern. They don't want Purdue.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the 34 teams or whatever it is now in the Big Ten and SEC.
They want Vandy, Kentucky?
Right. No, they don't. They want Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State.
Texas.
And then they're going to look at other conferences like the Big 12 and say, we want North Carolina, we want Florida State.
Miami.
We want Miami.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and goodbye Northwestern.
Yeah.
Goodbye Purdue. Goodbye Minnesota, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's not going to be this clean. So that part of it also doesn't make sense.
No.
That okay, the SEC is going to, but they don't want Vandy. They don't want the lower tier.
They want
of the
Purdue,
SEC.
right? Yeah, no.
So it's whatever. See ya. Go play amongst yourselves.
Are we excited actually the game's happening? Because once the games start, then this kind of goes away.
I was
right?
thinking about this when we got back from Las Vegas on Thursday night. Now it's time for football.
Yeah.
It's, all this other stuff is done in my mind.
Yeah.
It was fun to see what the media days are all about. To see some of the photos from Sioux Falls and see a big empty gymnasium at the Pentagon, and then to be in Vegas at the Palms and go, this is a bigger deal.
Different deal there.
Different deal.
Yep.
But I'm excited now for, I think practice starts next
week,
Wednesday or something
tomorrow.
for NDSU, and then the local media day is early August, and then you're ramping up, getting ready for Jacksonville State. North Dakota State is.
Let's talk about that when we come back from break. I want to talk a little bit about what we saw at the Mountain West Media Days. We'll do that when we wrap up our first hour. Mike McFeely here in studio with us. We're back on Hot Mike right after this.
But he also... Oh.
Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour here. Dave Richman will join us in just a few minutes. Okay, I wanted to get to something we were talking about a little bit when we were heading back, and I think you and Jeff both wrote about this last week, that this was the first time that NDSU hasn't been the quote-unquote the top dog. When we were there.
The belle of the ball.
Right, like the one that everyone is looking at, because that was definitely not the case.
No,
UNLV had that
I noticed
week.
that right away, that some of the questions being asked of the players on the first day of meet, the players were the first day, the coaches were the second. Some of the questions being asked from various media, not just Las Vegas based, but Colorado Springs, Wyoming, some of these other places. The reporters or media types were asking, like, what does it mean that there's really two top dogs in this conference now that UNLV and New Mexico have separated themselves from the rest of what's left of the league?
I heard that.
Yeah, and I just kind of went, oh, okay. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it seems like an odd question for various reasons, but it was clear that, I think a lot of people look at North Dakota State, again, which that's fine. They don't know or they don't care, and just kind of say, I had a great time in FCS, but this is UNLV. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, UNLV sucked for 25 years before the last 2 years, but okay. I mean, that's fine. So I thought that was kind of odd.
I'd say the same about New Mexico, by the way.
Yes.
Sucked forever until last year.
Until last year. Yep.
Right.
And again, tip the cap to Jason Heck for kind of moving his style, and quite frankly, the offensive line, defensive lines are important style to the Mountain West
Stunner.
Conference. Yeah. So I thought that was odd.
Yeah.
Like, I think people, I think they genuinely were curious and enthusiastic that North Dakota State is in the league. And I think even most of the players were like, hey, man, we know that they're good and, and I think it was genuine. I don't think they were just saying it just to say it, but it was just sort of this vibe that, nope, they're just not going to contend and they're not in the same league as UNLV, and which is fine. That's kind of where most of the national thinking, except for your boy McMurphy.
My guy?
They're think. and I didn't talk with Tim Paulsek about this, but I'm sure he's just fine with it.
Yes. Right?
Because you and I and Kolpak all talked about when this McMurphy stuff came out. We're just going, oh my God!
Yep.
That the whole 2008 is repeating itself.
Here we go. We're living it again.
And that's not happening. I did not
get that
happening. No.
I was interested on this to ask you. Conference USA put out not a preseason poll; they put a bowl confidence index projector in terms of what to predict for the year, and they gave Jacksonville State like 100%, Kennesaw State 100%.
Yeah.
That I thought was an interesting way of getting around the preseason poll, because Gloria was asked that. We're on a first name basis. Gloria Navarez was asked that last week.
That's a one-way first name basis.
During the press conference last week, at which you were attending, we took part of that. And because then the follow-up was, well, why did you put a preseason all-conference team out and not a poll?
But if I'm parsing her words, and again, you always have to read between the lines. If I was gathering what she was saying, and Gloria, if I'm wrong, please have yourself or one of your minions contact me and tell me I'm wrong. But what she said was, these G6 leagues, it's all about getting a team to the college football playoff. And what I gathered was, if like last year, New Mexico was picked, what?
Dead last.
Yeah. They almost got to the championship game. I think their point was, we don't want to poison a school by having them picked last in the league, because in today's market, you don't know because of the portal. No. And, so I don't think they want to put a stamp of these guys suck
before the season
on one of their teams before the season begins, because then that could color the rankings, because now it's the highest ranked conference champion, right? No.
Correct. As far as I know of the group of 6, I believe that is the exact language.
So she mentioned that because if you start off as the 8th team in the Mountain West in a meaningless preseason poll, the guys who then vote on the AP poll or the college football playoff rankings see that and go, well, they must not be any good.
Right.
So they're not going to get any traction, and that could damage them down the road in terms of the college football. So that's how I gathered why they didn't put out the poll.
Out of these teams, I was asked this as well. Who do you think has the most wins this year? Wyoming, San Jose State, Northern Illinois, or UTEP? Who wins the most out of those?
What was the last one? I'm sorry.
UTEP.
So it's Wyoming, San Jose State.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm high on the Spartans.
Okay. They're going to throw it like your guy Lockway. They're going to throw it 60 to 70 times a game.
Yes, they will.
So prepare for some 4-hour games with San Jose State.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. Wyoming could also emerge out of there just because I think Wyoming's defense is pretty good, and that I've been told wins championships.
Allegedly.
And so that I think that at least allows them to stay in games.
For UNLV, I'm really intrigued. The first 2 out of the chute, Memphis at home, and then to Hawaii. And Mullen talked to me about this, and I know he talked quite a bit about, those are not 2 easy games to start the year.
No, they get Memphis in Vegas, if that matters.
But Memphis is probably the best team in the American.
Yeah, and by the way, we've been reporting that UNLV is getting like 31,000 fans a game. Somebody maybe from another school in the area, a fan of that school, sent me a link to a story in one of the Vegas newspapers that says, actually, the actual attendance is about 19,000 a game.
They report empty seats.
They report the tickets,
not
the tickets not the actual butts in the seats.
Okay.
So I'll have to forward that to you. But anyway,
yeah.
I mean, Yeah, we'll know more about
It's a
Vegas.
60,000 seat stadium there. It'd be really empty.
Mullen claims that their defense is going to be much better this year because they have a D coordinator already in place, and they have their schemes and their language and calls in place,
Right.
and that's going to help them. We'll see.
They won.
It is not a defense-based league.
They won 4 games last year by 5 points or less. That doesn't tend to work all the time. Sometimes the pendulum goes the other way.
I mean, I keep seeing these rankings. I saw a ranking from The Athletic today that Nathan Hayes is ranked the 124th best starting quarterback in FBS out of 138 teams. Again, he's the worst ranked quarterback in the Mountain West.
Yep.
Part of it's because just nobody knows
him.
He's not going to be the worst quarterback in the. But like Jackson Arnold from UNLV
number
is
1.
Oh no, but he's up the list.
Yeah.
So, but it's like
I mean, number 1 in the Mountain West.
no, that was Micah Alahado from Hawaii. But notice how I'm saying Hawaii now and not just Hawaii.
Got it.
Yes.
Your friend Timmy Chang will appreciate that when you see him.
Was that awesome?
I talked about that Friday on the show. It's just so good.
Hey guys, hey Timmy Chang.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you guys come to anyway.
Well, we got Stace on blast for that. So, as I said, that's the guy to talk to.
Timmy's like, hey, Stacy, send these guys to Hawaii. They'll cover the game. Thank you, Timmy. Here's the phone number of my editor. But yes, anyway, we don't know what Jackson Arnold's going to do.
No.
You know that? I mean, he's a super talented young man, but we don't know what he's going to do.
Right. He's already, quote unquote, not worked at 2 other schools where he was recruited to. So
I picked New Mexico to win the league in my non-binding poll. If UNLV wins it, won't be surprised. It's just sort of a crapshoot, I think, among those two.
And now we actually get to talk about the actual players on the field as practice gets going next week. So we'll save our topic for that for next week about players who we think could break out during fall camp, all that kind of good stuff, because we're almost here.
It's football season.
It is.
SZN.
Yes, it is.
Season.
Great to see you, bud. Thanks for coming by. Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday. His appearances are brought to us by Sunset Lanes out of Moorhead. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Dave Richman will join us, North Dakota State men's basketball head coach. Bison going overseas to add a couple of players, plus some recruiting news in his own family. That's coming up when we come back.
This interview with Coach Dave Richman, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants.
My wife will tell you, you must have burned mine.
People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They watch it.
Yeah.
Play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy, but you got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love,
hey,
well, you
doing
come
that
with.
game.
That's not the thing. I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so 2 things are happening. That one, people are watching your show, listening.
Yes.
Right? That caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
It is our usual midsummer visit with the men's basketball head coach at North Dakota State. Mr. David Richman joins us. We'll talk some hoops here in a little bit, but I'm way more interested about Dad this time around because we talked about it on the show last week. It was one of our best of the weekend moments that your daughter Brinley is committed to play volleyball at Wichita State, my man. That's big news. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Go Shockers. Go Shockers. Yeah. No, we are, my wife and I, our entire family, we are very, very proud parents, extremely excited, for Brinley and next opportunities. She is, she set a dream. She had a goal, and she's pursued that harder than I've worked at anything. It's been a pleasure to sit back and watch those things and for that to come to fruition. Later last week or the week before, we could not be more proud. We could not be more excited for her.
All right, so you've done the recruiting pitch, to prospective players. What was it like as dad to hear the pitches? Can you describe that feeling?
Yeah, no, it was, just job with the article and that just came out in the forum. Like it was different, Dom. I have I don't want to know if I call it expertise, but I have an understanding of this and in a different sport, with a different sex and all those things. But it was certainly interesting. It was a learning experience. I said it in the article. I'll say it again. The NCAA gets chastised with a lot of things. This would be another, like, I don't love the volleyball process, to be honest with you. And in talking to volleyball coaches, they don't like it either. For 16-year-old young ladies to be trapped into the decisions, and we were a little bit more fortunate with Brindley, where she had 3-4 weeks. Some of them they have minutes to make those decisions, and I don't know how informed they are with those, but it is what it is. And I said to other coaches, like, listen, I'm not blaming you. I understand the business side of it more than anything. I do think it helped that because of my experiences, I could help navigate some things and calm some waters, in particular for my wife and all those things. But now that it is done, it is nice. Like, I will say that my first day of summer was yesterday, meaning like June. We were carting her around in camps, and then the end of June we were at nationals for volleyball. And then the last 4 or 5 days of the last 2 weekends have been recruiting weekends for us, and so. It's nice to have that process done. It's nice to settle in. Our oldest, Mallory, is becoming a freshman here next year at NDSU. So lots going on, but all awesome things. We could not be more grateful as parents.
I have to ask, so like you mentioned with the volleyball, we had Baylor Dinger on, who obviously plays with your daughter at Cheyenne, who committed to Utah. And I know Derek told me, her dad, that basically they had an hour or 2 hours and they were moving on. Is that happening? Are you under that kind of constraint in basketball at all, where you tell a guy, hey, I need a decision now or we're moving on?
Why would you mention Derek Dinger? Your rate just went extremely low right now when you did that. I hope he's listening too. It is different. Like in especially Baylor's process, I think was a little bit different than Brindley's process. I don't think I know it was, but I also know you end up where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And by all indications, Baylor and the Dinger family is extremely excited about Utah and the direction of that program and her opportunities there. And I think it's, a little bit off top, but I think it's extremely cool what the Volt program has been able to do. Taylor Sanders now committed to UND volleyball. With Cheyenne volleyball and the success on the court, the individual talent and those things too. So some pretty cool things. But, we're in situations now where there's leverage, that times do. I think word that I have, meaning like with, there's a lot of P4s that are waiting. Hey, let's treat low to mid-major basketball, volleyball as junior college. Let them go develop somewhere else, and then we'll take them. Very attractive, very talented student athletes in front of us at the mid to low major a little bit sooner than maybe we have in the past. I would tell you this from our perspective right now, we have a commitment from some size in 27, and we're looking at some guards and a point guard in particular. We have a pretty good list of 3 guys that I think it's going to allow us to put some timelines on and on the business side of the things. But I will say this too, the dad of this process, like I am going to do this like a business, and there are some things that Coach Richman does that Dave Richman doesn't like to do, but I do want if there is an incision made. The last thing I want is a bison here that doesn't want to be here, that doesn't fully understand what it's about to be here. And so our messages continue to stay, like Spencer Wilkins told me countless times over the summer, like our brand, Bison Basketball's brand, is at an all-time high. And I hung up with a guard from out in Oregon, and I like those things. But my job as the CEO, as the head coach, is to make sure we don't lose what made our brand high. Making sure that we have OGs, our kind of guys, right guys.
Apparently your recruiting budget is ballooned if you're going to Estonia and Spain. Could you find Estonia on a map? I don't know if I could, so I'm asking you. Could you find that on a map?
Yeah, I mean, isn't it that I can share this with the public, and they can probably there's open records. They can see the agreement that we have with you, and like we've just taken the WDAY Dom over to Estonia and all those places. I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world. Like over the last 2 or 3 years, and here, and then honestly, had a couple guys on our roster last year. We're going to have, it looks like hopefully everything goes well and they're able to call guys on our roster. Something I never said I would. There's a lot more to it. There really is, from a I-20s to I-this to I-that. I don't even know. And then getting them to the NCAA process and some of those things. But some really cool experience. It really is. You learn a lot about culture. And I think, to me, it's a testament to the game of basketball, where you get involved in some really cool conversations and relationships.
Let's start with Carl Poom, who's coming in from Northern Arizona. He's from Estonia originally. Tell us a little bit about him and how he fits himself into the Bison men's basketball roster.
Yeah, I think so. To it.
I think we're losing Dave's Zoom here. Hold on, hold on, bud. Your connection is breaking up on us here. We're gonna hang up and you get back to us, okay? We're gonna disconnect real quick and then we're gonna do us all over here. So let's do that and then we'll get Dave back just in a second there, because its connection is just being wonky for us. Let me give you the lowdown on each of these guys that signed with NDSU yesterday, because it was a busy day for signing-wise. So Poom, as we mentioned, comes the way of Northern Arizona. Brody, you can keep playing that video, please. Got some size to him. Comes his way from NAU, where he spent last season, and has a couple years of eligibility still. And that's the other thing I want to talk to Dave about as well, is the eligibility piece of all of these guys that they're taking into next season, considering now the 5-for-5 part of this, and how they work into it. He's not the only one as well. The other piece, Santiago Paz Vasquez, joins the team, also from Spain, 6'7". Poom is 6'8". And the best part about it is they're being listed now as third or first. That's the new deal on this for incoming players that are joining the roster, in terms of what they have in terms of eligibility and where they stand on the team. So Poom's 6'8", played last year, as you saw, at Northern Arizona. Paz is 6'7", from Spain. Played for the Spanish U20 team in 2023, averaged 5 and 3 a season ago. Poom, as we mentioned, 6'8", and played against the Bison last year. Northern Arizona was upper. I think we got Dave back. Apparently, your new contract isn't paying for better Wi-Fi at the Shack. Give us.
Oh, look at that! Look at that shot. Let me.
Just mark it down. Yeah, give us the lowdown on. First, we'll start with the Spanish sensation that's coming to the roster. Give us the lowdown on him.
Santi, yeah, no. I think Santi's got a chance to be a really, really special player. He's got great size. He's got great skills. I think the other thing is he's played basketball at a high level. I got to be careful, but like, he's played with those professional teams, and it's part of the vetting process now that the NCAA is going through to certify Santi. That's taken a million years, but anyways, that's a different topic. But no, all conversations have been great. A little bit of an older 22, 23-year-old guy that's got some great experiences. I've been doing it long enough. You get somebody in your culture and in your program and on the court and playing games to really, validate this. But I will tell you, Judge Wilkes chance to be a really special player for us.
The fact you added what you did, how much more could you be not maybe selective in what you were looking for. We talked about this when the NCAA tournament expansion came through, and we got in a whole other discussion on the roster. But knowing what you know now about adding pieces in the portal, were you able to specify exactly what you were looking for now that you have more experience doing it?
Yeah, I think that's certainly part of the conversation, like the age, the experience, being a big part of it. Also going back to our previous conversation, not compromising the character or anything like that. I think the other thing that's been very good for us, and Luke Strady has been just a tremendous asset, but it might take a little bit longer. It's it might into your summer a little bit, but we are not going to settle for bad players. We're not going to settle for bad people. And it's not about getting it done. It's about getting it done the right way. And ultimately, if it takes a little bit longer, if it takes a little bit more work, I'm willing to do those things. We're willing to do those things in the off season so that, in particular, and you hear me say this all the time, come February and March, we're ready to win championships. And like I said, I sound like hypocritical in a lot of things, but I hope I don't never sound hypocritical. Like the standards and expectations of NDSU athletics is to be at the highest level. And we validated those things, last spring. And ultimately, that's where we want to be. And so it takes what it takes to do those things, and it means the right and the right talent and however long it takes to get there.
Hey, my other favorite offseason topic to talk to you about is scheduling. A few have leaked out. I'm not sure how much you can comment on them. You can or not, if you can just tell me flat out. But it looks like you got a home and home with Illinois State, which is you've played them over the last few years. You're going to play Washington State this year on the road, and then they'll come here next season, which is really exciting, at Colorado State. How has the scheduling piece gone now that you can't blame Jones on anymore since he's got a job at Akron? Who's doing this now? Is it you?
Freaking A. I actually had to work this spring. It was like, I didn't like this. So Jones leaves. And by the way, I got this. Someone's playing a trick on me. I have this cricket sound in my office right now.
Oh.
And it is annoying the crap out of me. And someone has stuck something somewhere, and I'm going to find them and whatever. Anyways, Jones leaves, and Spence and Strager are in the portal, and we have to be raw.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what our schedule. I better contribute around here a little bit. So I take scheduling over. And the taskmaster brain that I am, every morning I was so excited. I'm going to get this schedule done. And we're still not done with the damn thing, Dom. It is unbelievable. And then we lose some teams in our league.
Yep.
So we need 2 more games. And then the NCAA says you can play an extra game. So we have approximately 486 games to schedule. And 487 days to play those games in, and so we're close. I think we have one more. Yeah, and it's also like there's our schedule gets out. It's got to be coming from the other place, otherwise someone's just leaking stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're excited. Stragy's on me about like, Coach, find some wins, and I keep going back to him. We got to find some games, but scheduling will be. It'll be challenging. I know some people, I had a podcast, they were on me about our strength of schedule. You can go ahead and do our schedule. You find, I can't tell you again, and I understand it. I do. I saw Coach Painter's rant too about, the parameters are the parameters, but, us not being a quad 1, us not being a quad 4, it's really tough. Yeah. But I do appreciate, what ended up being a good thing for us was the Valley has some scheduling parameters where they need to play some teams with, RPIs with probably hey, we just beat them the last 2 times we played. We'll be excited for that one. Illinois State in the home and home. Peden, the head coach at Illinois State. Mason Clabo, will be coming back to Fargo. Colorado State, great. That was actually a school that we went out and visited. It was really a beautiful place. So to go back out there, it's going to be a challenge, right? And ultimately, like anything, we need to be getting better every single day. So come January, February, March, we're ready to be for the bye. doesn't want to be.
It's great to catch up. We'll do this in studio next time to get us really ramped up for the season. I hope you get to enjoy it another couple days of summer before it's back to work. But thanks for doing this morning, and we'll talk soon, okay?
You like my it's summer. I got a little mustache going.
I saw that. I wasn't sure what to
talk about.
I don't know. I don't know how
bit
much you wanted to get into it here, because how much we talk appearances on this program between myself and you. But it's a good summer look. I don't know if I do it during the season.
It's the man that makes the suit, not the suit that makes the man. You have a great day, Mr. Izzo.
We'll see you later, bud. Thanks for joining us. There he is, David Richman, joining us, North Dakota State men's basketball head coach. Dave's appearances are brought to us, of course, by Northwestern Mutual. Big week there, big month, as he mentioned, for the Richman family, obviously. And we're going to get Brindley on soon enough, because I imagine she's a much better interview than the old man is. But you saw that graphic that we put up in terms of the non-conference scheduling that the Bison have cemented so far. And we don't know the season opener yet. I already know the conflicting of the universe is going to happen on Friday, November the 13th. Illinois State will play at NDSU that night at the Shack. That's also the same night as the Dakota Bowl. But there's two good home games there. The 13th and the 15th, the Bison will play Illinois State on Friday the 13th, and Cal State Bakersfield will come in on Sunday the 15th. They've got a road trip to Colorado State, road trip to Washington State. We mentioned the home and home with Illinois State is pretty good. And then the other Big Sky teams that they're going to play, Idaho State is coming here. That's on December the 20th, which is a Sunday, and they go to Idaho as well. So it's starting to come together. There's invariably going to be, and Dave mentioned this at the end, and we got to go to break here, the challenges of trying to fill out a schedule. So you're going to see a non-Division I on there. Not ideal, but everybody at this level has to do that. Just limiting how many non-D1s, and he's right as well. The NCAA approved going one extra game now, so I believe they can go up to 32, which is even more challenging considering they lost Denver for an automatic 2 games with the Pios moving to the West Coast Conference. All right, let's break. We'll get back on schedule here. As we mentioned, coming up about 15 minutes, my conversation with Jason Eck, head coach of New Mexico. Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra. We're back right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Dave Richman for giving us a few minutes there. Again, just a couple more items there on the guys they added, just because we had some technical issues when we were talking to Dave about it, and Zoom was breaking up on the additions that they made. First, Carl Poom, 6'8", out of Estonia, played last season at Northern Arizona, and Santiago Paz Vasquez, 6'7", out of Spain. Poom played in all 32 games for Northern Arizona last year, averaged 10 points and 3 rebounds in 20 minutes per game in Big Sky play, had a pair of 20-plus point games, spent his freshman year at San Francisco, that's in the West Coast Conference, in 24 and 25. Paz Vasquez played for Spain at the U20 Euros in 2023. Dave mentioned he's a bit older at 22, 23 years old. And I mentioned his experience, very high-level work ethic to match, great size for his spot. Obviously, it's 6'7". Now, you look at the roster now in full, and the guys that they've added, and we've met a bunch of them, from Melvin Bell Jr., who's coming in from San Jose State. Caden Tate's coming in from Des Moines Area Community College in that same role maybe that Travion Carson played a season ago. Max Iverson is the really exciting freshman out of Maple Grove that was scoring 40-some-odd points at the state tournament. Jack Robinson is the Lakeville North kid from Wisconsin. Chance Schoenfeld's back for another year. Amir Danforth is the freshman out of Illinois that could be the point guard. Josiah Harper, young man they really like, that transferred in from Maryland. Andrew Nagy is the big guy we had on. Andrew, in either late May or early June, that's coming in from Point Loma in Division II and was the Division II Player of the Year in his league. So it's, again, we've mentioned this throughout the offseason after the Bison won the Summit and played Michigan State and then saw the rash of guys leave, that this is going to be constant for him. And his ability, and Matt Larson made this abundantly clear when he came in studio to talk about Dave and Jory's new deals, that his ability to be flexible and adjust to the portal. There's a big reason why he got his extension, and obviously the success that they had last season was benefit of that. And they're going to do it again. And add into the fact they have 5 freshmen as part of this. Colin Stack is the 7-footer out of Illinois. Oliver Junker, big man, 6'8" out of Colorado. First time that they've really gone to Colorado to recruit a player. I mentioned Danforth is the 3rd freshman. Iverson is the 4th as well, that are part of this class that has some big shoes to fill that's coming in. Schoenfeld being the other one out of basically Brookings, that the Bison went in and got him to commit. And we tried to get Chance on last summer. We had some scheduling issues that just didn't pan out. But you've met the rest of these guys, and they'll all have a chance to add to the roster. And we'll see. With a schedule that's still getting fleshed out, be awfully interesting. One other basketball news that came through yesterday, Jory Collins has completed his staff as well after the departure of Dylan Geisert, who left for Kansas State. Ashley Davis was announced as the new assistant women's basketball coach. She comes after 18 seasons of D1 experience, spent the last 3 years with J.C. Hoyt at Oklahoma State. J.C. Hoyt is the former Kansas City coach. She got the Oklahoma State job from Kansas City and has had really good success at Oklahoma State. Former Jackrabbit Haley Timmer played for Hoyt this past season in Stillwater, and she comes to Fargo, had stops at Arizona, North Texas, Georgetown, so she's been a little bit all over the place, and will join a team that is locked and loaded, thinks that could be really good for this upcoming season. And we'll get Ashley on soon enough to chat about her coaching journey and connection with Jory and why she wanted to come to Fargo. As the Bison, both basketball teams are doing their summer workouts now, so we'll check in with them accordingly here in the not-too-distant future and introduce you to some of the new players on both rosters that'll be taken to the court in a couple months when basketball season gets going. All right, we'll break bottom of the hour here. We come back. My conversation with New Mexico head coach Jason Eck on taking over the Lobos last year, leading their prominence and getting the Bison in the league. That's coming up when we come back.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here. Thanks to our guy Matt Hopper making all sorts of new intros for us, making us look pretty damn good. There's no doubt about that. Welcome back, everybody. We got some breaking Minnesota Wild TV stuff I want to share before our show is done. But we teased it, so we want to get to it now because it's a pretty good conversation that we had with the head coach of New Mexico in Jason Eck, part of our coverage out at Mountain West Media Days. And obviously there is the strongest of connections that the Bison have to the Mountain West. One is with Jeff Choate, and you're going to hear from him in Nevada. That was the other coach I forgot, by the way. And the other is Eck. And Eck obviously is, unlike Choate, had success in Fargo as offensive coordinator at South Dakota State. He won up here in 2016, won up here in 2021 in a couple of the spring season of 2021, and obviously had some very big wins in Brookings as well as OC before launching his head coaching career, which took him from Idaho to now New Mexico. And we spent the gamut of our conversation talking on the rivalry with the Bison and now how NDSU fits into the new league in the Mountain West.
Our Media Days coverage continues here from Las Vegas. Excited to have New Mexico head coach Jason Eck join us. For Bison fans back in Fargo, they know that name well, former South Dakota State offensive coordinator. It's great to see you. I was just joking with you off air when you had the press conference right after the NDSU got announced. I love what you said, that you thought you were done with the Fargo Dome. So did you twist some arms that the Bison were coming to Albuquerque this year?
I got a 1-year reprieve before that, because that's a tough place to play. And I think the crowd was always cranked up too for those Jackrabbit games, and hopefully, coming to the Mountain West is going to just raise their excitement for all the games. I know I had heard that they didn't sell out that game or they got upset this year. So hopefully now with some fresh teams coming in, that'll lift the excitement. But I know what a great fan base that the Bison have, and I know what a great media following they have. I think this is a great match and a great fit for our league.
I got to go back to those games, Jason. I remember that 2016, both those games, the regular season game, obviously the Jake Winnick touchdown catch in the end zone, how monumental that was. Take me back your memories of those games and being such an integral part of them.
I mean, what a rivalry to be a part of. And when I first got there, the Jackrabbits were on a pretty long losing streak to the Bison. And really had to build the belief, because I think there was definitely some long faces and some people who maybe thought, hey, we can't beat these guys. And we were able to change that. And I think that, probably some of those lessons I learned there of how to build belief and get people thinking they could do something that maybe right now they don't think they could do, probably helped me at Idaho and at New Mexico, building some of that belief in our teams to get them going. And they were great games. I mean, that was right down like the last play of the game, the 2016 game, and then they got after us pretty good in the playoffs. Then the next year, 2017,
awesome game there.
We got them at our place.
Yep.
They turned the ball over a bunch, because they had Stick. But
Easton Stick's worst game, I think, as a Bison that
he had
day.
a bunch of turnovers, and we were able to get them. And I remember Goddard made a great catch against the real good outside linebacker transferred to LSU.
Jabril Cox.
Yeah, he was a great player.
Fantastic.
A freak
Just
player.
think of those names, though.
No, a lot of
playing
pros
FCS football right there.
No. And then 18, they drilled us both times up there and in the playoffs. Wasn't even close. And then
19 was college game day.
19 was college game day.
Yeah, that was a heck of a day.
What atmosphere that was. And they got us. And then the last two times we played them in the spring season, we got them up in Fargo, and then got them at our place the last year where we did the I'll always remember this one. We ran the play where we snapped it.
I was going to ask you about that.
We snapped it through the legs, and Pierre Strong was in the NFL, threw it to Tiger Kraft is in the NFL. And I remember coming down on the press box elevator, and like Tyler Roll, because we didn't have TVs up there, and Tyler kind of goes to me at halftime. He goes, "Did you snap the ball through the legs of the quarterback?" I said, yeah, we did. So what games? What great games.
When did you know Mark Gronowski to say, this is the guy? He's going to be the dude?
Pretty soon right away. I mean, we liked him a lot in recruiting. He was really athletic and could run. I thought guys like that help your O-line. So, and I've always thought, to beat really good teams, you need to have a quarterback who can extend plays and things. And then he really came in, and the fact that we played in the spring that year gave him all that time.
Yeah.
It was almost like he was an early enrollee, which is more common in FBS than FCS.
Yep.
But it allowed him to really win the team over, get to know everybody, and I started having like guys coming to my office, like even defensive players saying, "Yeah, we're going to start Gronowski, right?" I was like, "Yeah, we'll see." And I was kind of thinking, "Yeah, you're right." But no, what a great player. Very proud of him, and I think I read that or saw that he's ironically him and Cam Miller with the same team right now, right?
The Dolphins.
How about that? But that was a kind of a neat rivalry, and credit to Cam, who came back at the end of his career and finally got him after Gronowski won some of the early battles.
I'm interested, Jason, to see the amount of FCS guys here, not unless yourself, but the amount of players that have, and it's the natural progression of things, obviously. The group of 6, they lose guys to the Power 4. Group of 6 is going to look to FCS guys. But the transition, you obviously made it yourself. What does that say about the level of football that's played at the FCS level that's able to now come up here and have great success?
Yeah, I think the top of the FCS, I think particularly the Big Sky Conference and the Missouri Valley Conference, there isn't a huge drop-off. And, and somebody asked me about that recently, and I said, hey, the best teams, and it really comes down to probably like 4 teams, the North Dakota State, South Dakota State, or the Montana schools.
Yeah.
I mean, those teams are right there, I think, with the best teams in the Mountain West. You look last year, Boise State was the champion. I bet Boise State would probably be a slight favorite at home against like an NDSU, but if they had to come to the Fargo Dome, it'd probably be a slight underdog. Yeah. So I just think the difference is, the drop off. Then everybody's probably the middle of the. It's the best teams in those conferences. Yep. You don't have the. Some of those teams that struggled, traditionally when Western Illinois was in the league, or Murray State, or Indiana State. It's more of you're playing those best teams. It's playing, it'd be like playing the Jackrabbits and NDSU and Illinois State when they're having the best teams, and I know Northern Iowa's fallen off a little bit, but some of their best teams where they were really good, or when Youngstown went to the championship game in 16, it'd be like playing those 5 teams on a rotating basis when they're at the best. That's more like what this league's like.
Tell me about success last year, how gratifying that was. Come in, brand new team. Obviously, your son is a huge part of it. How gratifying was 2025?
It was a lot of fun, both personally and just seeing kind of our fan base get reignited.
Yeah.
We led the nation in percentage attendance increase. We went the year before we got there, they averaged about 16,000 fans a game. We got up to 25,000. Had our first sellout since 2007. So just seeing the fan base come alive and rally around us was huge. And I really have always thought, like a lot of schools that are traditional basketball schools, and I think Indiana's a great example of that.
Yep.
As soon as you give them good football, they quickly they figure it out pretty quick, and people love football in America.
Totally.
And our fan base is always, and that was one of the things that gave me confidence. I knew we didn't have an apathetic fan base. We had a tremendous fan base for basketball historically. I said, hey, we give them some good football, they're going to fall in line and support us, and we got to keep going to try to make every game. We had 2 great crowds last year. Hopefully we can up that and have 4 or 5 great crowds this year.
Well, knowing the fact you've got some of the heavy hitters coming to your place this year, how big a deal is that with the schedule when you saw it?
That's huge. I mean, having North Dakota State and UNLV at home, I think, are huge, because those are 2 teams I think will be right in the thick of things. And the Hawaii trip will be tough. I think they're going to be in the thick of things. And the thing that's tricky now is there's probably somebody right now that we're not thinking about that's going to be in the thick of things. And we'll see how that evolves as the season goes on. But I kind of, tell our players that a lot. Just like no one thought we were going to be good, and we ended up being good. Yeah. It's easier to rebuild teams. So there's somebody right now who maybe is coming off of a year that didn't go to a bowl game that's going to go to a bowl game this year, and you can't relax and take any team lightly.
I got to ask. I was asking Jackson this yesterday, being small town guy as well, Wisconsin guy. What was it like walking into the big house last year for you? As a head football coach looking around playing at the University of Michigan.
It's I tell you what, that's an intimidating place. And I had been there a while ago, like when I was a player and graduate assistant at Wisconsin. But those were always like early afternoon games. I think there's something different too at night. You walk in there, and now all those stadiums now have the the light shows. You can turn the lights off and make it dark during timeouts, and it was intimidating. And I think early in that game we were a little rattled. I didn't do a great job of going into that game and having the team quite ready. And then we settled in. We were down 14-0, and we threw an interception off of a tip ball, and they had the ball at about the 20-yard line going in. And it was huge that our defense held them to a field goal to keep it 17-0. And then we really settled in, and we played them. We ended up losing 35-17, so we played them pretty even after that point. But it almost got away from us.
Yeah.
That was huge that we settled in, and then we're able to make it 17-14 before half.
So I have to ask, for Bison fans to certainly remember your social media game. Is your Twitter game still as good as it was 10 years ago when you were with the Jackrabbits?
Yeah, I still try to keep social media engagement engagement up and everything, and I'm probably older and wiser, so want to make sure I'm not providing as much bulletin board material for people, but I am still a pretty good follow on that. So
I followed you for 10 years, man. It's a must follow for me.
Yeah, so we'll give them some good content to get excited about. And I was telling some of the the print guys in there too. I know that really the South Dakota State and North Dakota State rivalry was kind of manufactured.
Totally,
it wasn't like something. So now we got to manufacture some new. I figure there's some oil in North Dakota and there's some oil in New Mexico. So maybe we need like a rusty oil can or something that we can come up with.
There we go. Traveling trophy? Let's do it.
We need
right?
something. So.
Did you surprise the feedback you got on that one tweet in that game? Was that, hey, you know what? I'm going to put it out there and let's see what happens.
I can't even remember.
I know it's a decade ago. I know
which one it was, but I know. I know that little section, that small sideline. You have a lot of people yelling at you during the game. I know when you're on the sideline there.
Oh man, I have to ask here. For Bison fans who are going to make the trip to Albuquerque, what's the game day sense like for what to expect when to come out? Especially it's going to be a night game at New Mexico for that game.
Long time to tailgate. We got a good tailgate scene. They do a great job. There's a group of guys, the North End Zone Howlers. They start tailgating at 6 a.m. no matter when the game is.
Wow.
So it's a good tailgate scene. The weather will be a little nicer than Fargo for an October game, and it'll be a beautiful day, good setting, and a lot of time to get lubed up pregame for a late kickoff, 8 o'clock kickoff.
Last thing, just describe for fans out there, NDSU is better than anybody, the transition for the Bison. What do you think there might be maybe some road bumps? What would you see potential road bumps going into the league?
I think they're going to do very well. I think they're going to come in and have success right away. I look at like James Madison, how they transitioned up, and I always thought those were similar type programs at the FCS level. So I think they're going to do well. I mean, I still think there'll be certain things like the I think the one thing that they have is they're good at the line of scrimmage, O-line and D-line, which is one of the traditional things you'd think going from an FCS program up, there's a change. I don't think that will be a factor for them. I think they will be amongst the best on the line of scrimmage right away. Maybe some of the skill.
Okay.
I think they're going to see a little bit more speed on the perimeter than they saw week to week in the Mountain West compared to the Missouri Valley. So that'll take a little time catching up, and that's, I think, always been, and we were the same way at South Dakota State. Sometimes you couldn't get those guys real close. You had to go, we got Pierre Strong out of, Arkansas, and I know some of those good backs that they've had have been Florida kids and things like that. So, that may be a little bit of that, and I think the travel will be a little, changed too, because, even you think of, the long flight in the valley going like North Dakota to Youngstown's a couple hours.
Correct.
It's a little different than going to Hawaii like we both do this year.
Yeah.
So, that part of it I think will be a little, taxing and be an adjustment as well. And, it's unique because you have a lot of different, weather you have to play in this thing. You could play in.
Totally.
You could play in some games that are 100 degrees or some games at altitude. And you also could have a cold game if we play Wyoming in November this year on the road. So that could be a snow game. So a lot of different weathers you have to play in this league.
It's great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this. Good luck,
Thanks,
and
Tom.
we'll see you in October, okay?
I appreciate it.
Jason Eck joining us, head coach of the University of New Mexico. Bison and the Lobos coming up in mid-October.
Good stuff there with the head football coach of the University of New Mexico. It was fun to go down memory lane, and the tweet that I'm referring to, Bison fans need no reminder of that, was after the 2016 playoff game, the Bison beat the Jackrabbits handily in the playoffs, and Chris Kleiman said, what a question we asked the post-game, what was mentality knowing the Jacks would wonder in the regular season, and Chris said, we were extremely motivated today. So the following week when James Madison came up here and beat the Bison in the semifinals to end the 5-year title streak, Eck tweeted out, guess there wasn't enough motivation. And the Bison fans just lost their collective minds over it, and it just became part of that rivalry, which made it great. And Jason's exactly right. It was manufactured. It became a tremendous rivalry. Why not something maybe with NDSU and New Mexico that can something as well. Good stuff there, and part of our continuing coverage that we had out in Vegas with the 10 head football coaches. Tomorrow, Troy Calhoun from the Air Force Academy. That one you won't want to miss on our show tomorrow. Let's break here. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for a busy sports Tuesday and talking season when Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Tuesday morning. We're back with you tomorrow. Drew Tratham will be with us to put a bow on the World Cup, and now already ready to expand it from 48 to 64, and a couple other things we'll hit with Drew tomorrow on the show. Now, I mentioned this earlier. I'll try to get through this best and quickly as I can. The NHL announced earlier today the creation of a centralized production for club regional broadcasts. What that means is that the league will be producing the broadcasts for the Hurricanes, the Blue Jackets, the Wild, and the Blues for this upcoming season. The Wild followed suit with an email to say that they are creating their own multimedia television network that will debut this season. Much like the Twins have Twins TV, get ready for the Wild to have their own channel. The email reads that fans will be able to watch Minnesota Wild games through a variety of options this season, including cable, satellite, streaming services, and over-the-air. More details on availability, channel locations, and pricing of a direct-to-consumer streaming option, annual and monthly subscriptions, will be announced prior to the start of the regular season, which we found out is the end of September. So if you bought the Twins TV package and you're enjoying that, get ready. This is the same way you're going to be able to watch the Wild, because remember, the Bally deal is gone, FanDuel, whatever, that's all gone. The Wolves are going to announce the same thing coming here in the not-too-distant future as well. Maybe that's an over-the-air deal. Who knows? but the Wild will have their own network starting this fall, and we'll give you the details on that when we have it. But not surprising, but the Minnesota Wild are going that route. Speaking of TV, it's time for What to Watch. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our great friends at Northwestern Mutual. Twins in action tonight. Let's see if they can get this one. They've been pounded the last 3 games. Guardians, 5:30 on Twins TV. Conference USA Media Days coming up here at the top of the hour on ESPN+. If you're interested to hear about Jacksonville State and their quarterback, Charlie Creel, and their tremendous safety as well, Caleb Nix, that's part of it on ESPN+. SEC Media Days continuing. Kirby Smart will be speaking today. A few other of the top coaches as well. That's on the SEC Network and on ESPN+. Our thanks to Mike McFeely, to Dave Richman, and to Jason Eck. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a complete replay of our show on WDAY+. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow to do it all over then. We'll see you then.